Chosen one, you are hurting my child. I say it again, you are hurting my child. You belong to me, yet right now you feel lost. You've been carrying a weight you can't explain. Your mind won't slow down. Your heart stays tense even when nothing is wrong. You believe you were created for more, yet your body feels like it's always bracing for impact. You're not nervous because you're weak. You're exhausted because you've been living in survival mode for too long. But hear this clearly. Chosen one, you did not arrive here by accident. This moment was scheduled by heaven. The stirring you feel right now is not anxiety, it is awakening. You are standing at the edge of a supernatural shift where what once overwhelmed you will no longer control you. Scripture reminds us God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind, as written in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. By the end of this message, you will understand why your nervousness was never your identity, why your pressure was preparation, and what you must do next to step into the success you were chosen for. Stay with me. Watch this all the way through, and you will see that God has never abandoned you, not once. If your spirit feels this is for you, subscribe now and comment 777 as a declaration that you are a chosen one. Make a promise to yourself in this moment. You will stay, you will listen, and you will receive what heaven has prepared for you today. Chosen one, hear this slowly and let it settle in your spirit. What you call nervousness was never weakness. It was pressure without context. It was responsibility arriving before authority fully formed. There was a season when every room you entered made your chest tighten, not because you were unqualified, but because you were carrying more awareness than you had language for. You felt the weight of outcomes before anyone assigned them to you, and your body reacted the only way it knew how. I remember that season clearly in my own life. There were moments when my hands would steady on the outside while everything inside me raced. I wasn't afraid of people. I was afraid of failing the assignment I hadn't fully understood yet. And that is the quiet burden of the anointed one. You feel called before you feel ready. But here is the revelation heaven wants you to receive today. Anxiety loses its grip the moment purpose becomes clear. The moment you stop entering spaces as a spectator and start arriving as a steward, your nervous system begins to obey your calling. There was a woman I once learned from someone seasoned, steady, unshakable. She never rushed. She never reacted. Every time she walked into a room, it felt like order arrived before she spoke. I watched her closely, not because she demanded attention, but because her presence carried authority. And I realized something sacred. She didn't prepare out of fear. She prepared out of respect for the assignment. Chosen one, preparation is not striving. Preparation is alignment. It is you telling your spirit, your mind, and your body, we are not walking into this blind. We are not hoping this goes well. We are leading this moment. When you take time to understand who you're meeting, what you're stepping into, and what outcome you're called to steward, something supernatural happens. Fear dissolves. Not because the stakes are lower, but because your posture has shifted. You stop reacting to energy in the room, and the room begins responding to you. There was a time earlier in my life when I showed up expecting direction. I waited for someone to tell me what to do, how to move, where to stand. And that was normal for that season. But leadership begins the moment you realize heaven does not send instructions last minute. Heaven prepares its vessels in advance. Chosen one. If you feel unsettled in high-stakes moments, it is not because you are incapable. It is because you were never designed to arrive empty-handed. You were created to carry intention, to know why you are there, to sense the direction before the conversation begins. And hear this gently, you do not need rituals to feel ready. You do not need long routines to convince yourself you are capable. That belief was planted by a system that profits from keeping you dependent. But heaven did not anoint you to need crutches. There was a season when I believed I needed everything to be perfect before I could function. A slow morning, a specific rhythm, a mental build-up to face the day. And without realizing it, I was teaching my body that life itself was dangerous. I was rehearsing difficulty before it even arrived. Chosen one. What you rehearse, you reinforce. If you tell yourself something is hard, your nervous system will treat it like a threat. If you tell yourself you are unready, your body will tighten to protect you. But when you practice your craft, when you do the work daily, when you build quiet consistency, you are already prepared. Readiness is not emotional hype. It is familiarity with your own capacity. Magnetic people don't speak about how hard everything is. They speak about what is possible, not because they deny reality, but because they are anchored deeper than circumstance. And when you carry that energy, people feel safe around you. They trust you. They follow you. There will always be moments that are intense, meetings that matter, conversations that carry weight. And in those moments there is no time for elaborate routines. There is only presence. And presence is something you cultivate long before the moment arrives. This is why heaven is inviting you into a deeper truth now. You are not meant to panic destiny. You are meant to inhabit it. And let me release a word that needs to free you right now. No single mistake can cancel a divine calling. I need you to hear that, not intellectually, but spiritually. There were moments in my own journey when I failed publicly. I rushed. I misspoke. I watched opportunities slip through my fingers in real time, and I thought, this is it. I've ruined everything. But I didn't. The earth didn't collapse. Heaven didn't withdraw. The calling remained. One mistake can bruise your confidence, but it cannot revoke your assignment. Only patterns of avoidance do that. And you are not avoidant. You are aware. Chosen one, there is a difference. When you remember that no single moment holds the power to destroy your future, your body relaxes. You begin to breathe again. You show up authentically. And authenticity is where authority lives. Even now, if your heart has been racing, I want you to slow your breathing. Let your shoulders drop. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are being recalibrated. There will be moments when chaos unfolds around you, when voices rise, when pressure fills the space, and your instinct may be to fidget, to explain, to move. But stillness is a language the chosen speak fluently. Stillness does not mean passivity, it means mastery. I remember sitting in a tense negotiation once, watching conflict erupt across the table. My body wanted to react, to smooth things over, to fill the silence. But something in me chose stillness instead, and in that stillness clarity emerged, authority settled. The moment passed without damage. You do not need to speak to prove control. Presence speaks for you. And finally, let this truth anchor you. Destiny is serious, but it is not fragile. You are allowed to laugh. You are allowed to be human. You are allowed to bring your personality into the rooms you occupy. Heaven did not anoint a machine. Heaven anointed you. When you lighten the atmosphere without losing integrity, anxiety loses oxygen, joy disarms fear, and success begins to feel natural again. Chosen one. You are not chosen to be nervous. You are chosen to be grounded. You are chosen to be present. You are chosen to carry weight without shaking. And as you sit with these words, let your spirit agree with this truth. You are in control of how you show up. And heaven is already backing the version of you that stands calm in the face of destiny. Chosen one. There is a deeper layer to what you've been feeling, and it's time to speak it plainly. What has been unsettling you is not the pressure itself, but the meaning you've been attaching to it. You were taught subtly and over time that tension means danger, that discomfort means something is wrong, that nervous energy is a warning sign. But for the anointed one, pressure often signals proximity. It means you are near something that matters. There was a season when I misunderstood this myself. Every time my heart raced before a conversation, a decision or a responsibility, I assumed it meant I wasn't ready. I thought readiness felt calm, effortless, clean. But that belief kept me small longer than necessary. What I eventually learned is that calm is not the absence of responsibility. Calm is the result of ownership. When you don't yet own the moment, your body prepares to defend itself. When you do, your body aligns to lead. Chosen one. Heaven does not send you into rooms to observe what others will do. You are sent to influence outcomes whether you speak or not. And the moment you recognize that your nervous system begins to reorient, it stops asking what will happen to me and starts asking what is required of me here. That shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Many people believe that peace comes after success, but the truth is, peace is the posture that invites success to respond. The reason preparation quiets your inner noise is not because it guarantees control, but because it restores alignment. When your intention is clear, your spirit settles. When your direction is defined, your body follows. I've watched this play out in ordinary, everyday moments. Sitting across from someone who didn't know my story. Walking into environments where expectations were unspoken but heavy. In the past, I would brace myself hoping to survive the interaction without error. But survival is not the calling of the chosen one. Stewardship is. And stewardship begins before the moment arrives. This is why those who walk in quiet authority rarely rush. They don't scramble because they've already decided who they are before they enter the room. They don't need to borrow confidence from rituals or hype themselves into readiness. Their readiness was built slowly, privately, faithfully. Chosen one. You were not meant to need permission to be composed. There is a lie that has circulated for years, one that sounds wise but weakens you from the inside. It says you must feel ready before you act, that you must feel calm before you step forward, that you must eliminate discomfort before you can lead. But if that were true, no one would ever grow into anything meaningful. Calling stretches you before it comforts you. When you depend on elaborate routines to function, you teach your body that your strength is conditional, that if the environment isn't perfect, you are not capable. But heaven designed you differently. You were created to be responsive, not fragile. Adaptable, not dependent, grounded, not rigid. This doesn't mean you ignore preparation. It means you redefine it. Preparation is not about eliminating uncertainty. It's about building familiarity with responsibility. It's knowing your values so well that you don't panic when decisions must be made quickly. It's practicing integrity so consistently that your body doesn't freeze when eyes are on you. There were times when I watched people lean heavily on rituals, speaking as if they were the source of their power. And something in me always paused. Not because discipline is wrong, but because power that must be summoned is not yet embodied. When you truly know what you carry, you don't need to convince yourself. Chosen one, you are allowed to be ready without fanfare. Another truth that must be released over you now is this: anxiety often comes from trying to predict outcomes that were never yours to control. You step into conversations carrying the weight of how others might react, how things might unfold, how mistakes might be interpreted. And that weight accumulates until your body rebels. But hear this clearly: you were never assigned to manage reactions. You were assigned to manage alignment. When you focus on alignment, outcomes adjust on their own. This is why the fear of making a mistake feels so intense for you. It's not because you're careless, it's because you care deeply. But caring deeply without grace turns into pressure, and pressure without perspective turns into panic. There was a moment in my own life when I failed in a way that felt public and final. Words came out wrong. Timing collapsed. The moment slipped through my fingers, and for a while I replayed it endlessly, convinced that one misstep had exposed something irreparable in me. But time revealed what fear could not. That moment did not define me, it refined me. Chosen. One, heaven does not operate on single moments. Heaven watches patterns, faithfulness over time, humility after error, courage to continue when embarrassment whispers retreat. You are not disqualified by a stumble, you are only redirected. This is why the truth that no one thing blows a deal is so liberating. It gives your nervous system permission to stay open. It allows you to remain present instead of collapsing inward. It reminds you that your life is not balanced on a fragile edge. And when you internalize that truth, something remarkable happens. Your breathing slows, your shoulders soften, your voice steadies. You become available to the moment instead of trapped by it. Stillness then becomes possible. Stillness is not silence for the sake of politeness. It is not withdrawal. It is the discipline of not reacting prematurely. It is trusting that you do not need to fill every space with movement or explanation. I learned this the hard way. In moments of tension, I used to overcorrect. I would speak too quickly, shift too much, try to smooth things over before they even broke. But that energy communicated uncertainty, not care. The day I learned to remain still when discomfort arose, everything changed. People listened differently. Situations resolved themselves. Authority was felt rather than asserted. Chosen one. Your body is always communicating. When you fidget, it speaks fear. When you are still, it speaks confidence. And confidence is not loud, it is anchored. This stillness creates room for another essential truth. Life does not require constant seriousness to be meaningful. You were not chosen to carry destiny with clenched fists. You were chosen to carry it with trust. There is a sacred lightness that belongs to those who know they are guided. Humor, humanity, warmth. These are not distractions from success. They are stabilizers. They remind your nervous system that you are safe, even while doing important work. I began to notice how environment shifted when I allowed myself to be human. When I smiled. When I acknowledged wins. When I remembered that people are not problems to solve, but souls navigating pressure just like me. Chosen one joy is not a luxury. It is a regulator. The more you allow yourself to be present without panic, the less your body will search for danger. The more you trust that you are guided, the less you will brace for impact. You are learning now that success is not something you chase while anxious. It is something you receive while grounded. And grounding is not passive, it is practiced. As these words settle into you, let this be the agreement you make with yourself. You will no longer interpret nervousness as a verdict. You will see it as information, a signal to align, not to retreat. You are not chosen to be nervous. You are chosen to be steady under weight. And steadiness is something heaven is teaching you to embody now, one moment at a time. Chosen one. There is a moment that arrives in every calling where heaven asks you to stop fighting your own sensitivity and start honoring it. This is that moment for you. You were never meant to be numb. You were never meant to bulldoze your way through life disconnected from your inner world. Your sensitivity is not a flaw, it is a signal. But when sensitivity is not anchored, it turns into anxiety. And when it is anchored, it becomes discernment. For a long time, your nervous system has been trying to protect you from what it does not yet trust you can hold. That protection shows up as tightness, restlessness, vigilance. But the goal of protection is temporary. Heaven never designed you to live guarded forever. You were designed to mature into safety. Safety does not come from eliminating risk. It comes from building internal stability. I want you to hear this clearly. Your body is not betraying you. It is responding to the stories you've been telling it. When you walk into moments believing they could destroy you, your body prepares for impact. When you walk in knowing you can withstand what comes, your body softens. This is not psychology, it is stewardship. There was a season when I realized that much of my tension wasn't coming from the situation in front of me, but from my fear of losing control. I wanted certainty. I wanted guarantees. I wanted to know the ending before I lived the middle. And the truth is that desire was exhausting my system. Chosen one certainty is not your assignment. Trust is. Trust does not mean pretending everything will go perfectly. It means believing that even if something goes wrong, you will remain intact. That belief alone releases your body from constant alert. You were not created to manage every variable. You were created to manage your response. When you stop demanding perfection from yourself, you stop signaling danger to your nervous system. When you release the expectation that you must perform flawlessly to be worthy, your body begins to cooperate instead of resist. There is a quiet dignity in allowing yourself to be imperfect without collapse. I remember a moment when I felt the weight of expectation press down on me so heavily that my chest tightened. I was convinced that one misstep would expose me, that one awkward pause would undo everything. And yet when the moment passed and nothing catastrophic happened, something inside me recalibrated. My body learned a new truth: I can survive discomfort. Chosen one. Your nervous system learns through experience, not explanation. This is why no amount of self-talk alone will free you. Freedom comes when your body witnesses you staying present through uncertainty and emerging whole. Each time you do that, you rewrite the story your system tells itself. That is why stillness matters so deeply in your journey. Stillness is not passivity. It is you teaching your body that it does not need to scramble to be safe. When you choose to remain still in moments of intensity, you are sending a powerful message inward: I am not in danger. I want you to think about how often you feel compelled to fill silence, to justify yourself, to move, just to relieve tension. That impulse is not wrong. It is learned, and it can be unlearned. There was a time when I believed silence meant failure, that if I didn't respond quickly, I would lose authority. But over time, I learned that silence often creates space for clarity. When you don't rush to react, you allow the moment to reveal itself. And in that revelation, wisdom emerges. Chosen one, you are not required to perform calm. You are invited to inhabit it. Another truth your spirit needs to receive is this: urgency is not the same as importance. Many things will feel urgent. Very few are truly decisive. When you treat every moment like it will determine your future, your nervous system never rests. But when you learn to discern what actually carries weight, you conserve your strength. This discernment is not learned overnight. It grows as you stop catastrophizing small missteps, as you stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios, as you allow yourself to learn instead of punish. You have been harder on yourself than heaven has ever been. Heaven does not watch you with a tally sheet of errors. Heaven watches with patience, tracking your willingness to stay engaged even when things feel uncomfortable. That willingness is faith in motion. When you understand this, humor becomes holy. Lightness becomes medicine. Laughter reminds your body that you are alive, not under threat. and joy, even in small doses, interrupts the cycle of tension that keeps you braced. I began to notice how differently my body responded when I allowed moments of levity into serious environments. A smile softened conversations. A shared win eased pressure. A moment of humanity restored connection. These were not distractions from purpose, they were regulators of my nervous system. Chosen one, your success does not require you to be severe. There is a version of you that knows how to carry responsibility with grace. That version is not anxious, not because life is easy, but because trust has replaced fear. And trust is built through repeated experiences of survival, not avoidance. Each time you stay present instead of fleeing internally, you strengthen that trust. Each time you forgive yourself for imperfection, you release stored tension. Each time you choose stillness over fidgeting, you anchor authority deeper into your body. This is the education heaven is giving you now. Not in classrooms or manuals, but in lived moments, in pauses, in breaths, in choices that feel small but rewire everything. You may have thought that success would arrive once you finally felt confident, but confidence is not the prerequisite, it is the byproduct. The real prerequisite is willingness to show up as you are grounded in truth, open to growth. Chosen one. You are not late, you are not broken, you are not failing. You are learning to carry what is coming. And as you practice this, staying present, releasing urgency, allowing humanity, your nervous system will begin to recognize safety where it once sensed threat. That recognition will change how you move through the world. You will notice that your breathing deepens in moments that once made you shallow, that your voice steadies where it once trembled, that your thoughts slow where they once raced. This is not accidental, it is alignment. Success for you will not arrive with chaos, it will arrive with clarity. And clarity is born in calm. Let this truth settle into you now. You do not need to force yourself into peace. Peace is responding to your willingness to trust. And trust is something you are already learning, one embodied moment at a time. Chosen one. There is one more layer that must be healed if you are to walk fully into the success you were chosen for. It is not fear of people. It is not lack of skill. It is not even doubt in God. It is the quiet, hidden belief that you must hold everything together at all times, or everything will fall apart. That belief has been exhausting your nervous system. You learned early, often without anyone saying it out loud, that stability depended on you, that mistakes were costly, that being on was safer than being honest. So your body adapted. It stayed alert. It stayed tense. It learned to anticipate problems before they arrived. And what once helped you survive has now begun to limit you. Chosen one. Survival is not your assignment anymore. There comes a moment when heaven invites you to stop managing life as if it is fragile and start trusting that it is held. This moment is not dramatic. It is quiet. It begins internally when you release the need to brace for impact. I want to speak directly to the fear that has been following you, the fear that one wrong move will undo everything. That one slip will expose you. That one failure will define you. This fear feels logical because you care deeply, but it is not truth. Truth is, this destiny is not that fragile. I have lived long enough to see moments I thought would ruin me quietly become footnotes in a much larger story. Conversations I replayed in my mind for months became irrelevant. Failures I believed were permanent turned into turning points. And what I learned is this life does not move forward by erasing mistakes. It moves forward by integrating them. Chosen one. Nothing you've survived was wasted. Your nervous system has been holding on to tension because it believes it must prevent pain at all costs. but pain avoided is not the same as wisdom gained. Wisdom comes from moving through moments and discovering you remain intact on the other side. This is why grace is not optional for you. It is regulatory. When you deny yourself grace, your body never relaxes. It stays vigilant, scanning for danger. But when you give yourself permission to be human, your body learns a new pattern. I can endure discomfort without collapse. That learning is what builds resilience. I want you to consider how often you replay moments where you wish you had said something differently, how often you imagine alternate outcomes, how often you punish yourself internally long after the moment has passed. That rumination is not self-awareness, it is self-surveillance, and it keeps your nervous system stuck in the past. Chosen one. The past does not require your constant attention. It requires your understanding and then your release. There was a time when I believed that replaying my mistakes would somehow prevent future ones. I thought vigilance equaled growth, but vigilance without compassion only creates fear. It took me years to realize that my nervous system didn't need more monitoring. It needed reassurance. Reassurance does not come from positive thinking. It comes from lived evidence that you can fail and still be loved, that you can stumble and still be called, that you can misjudge and still be guided. Heaven is not shocked by your learning curve. When you internalize this, something profound happens. You stop shrinking in anticipation of judgment. You stop bracing for rejection. You stop trying to preemptively fix everything. And in that release, your body begins to soften. This softening is not weakness, it is capacity expanding. Stillness becomes more natural in this state. You no longer feel compelled to fidget, to justify, to over-explain. Silence stops feeling like danger. Pauses stop feeling like failure. You begin to trust that you do not need to rush to secure your place. Chosen one, your place is not up for debate. Presence becomes your default because you are no longer internally negotiating your worth. And presence is what allows others to feel you, not just hear you. It is what allows rooms to settle when you enter. It is what turns influence into impact. I want you to notice something subtle but important. When you stop treating every situation as a test, you become more effective. You listen better. You respond more clearly. You act from intention instead of impulse. And your nervous system supports you instead of sabotaging you. This is why humor and humanity matter so much in your journey. They remind you that you are not performing for survival. You are participating in life, and participation requires flexibility. There were moments when I watched tension dissolve simply because I allowed myself to smile, to acknowledge reality, to let a moment breathe. These were not strategies. They were expressions of trust. Trust that the moment did not need to be controlled to be meaningful. Chosen one, control is not your calling. Stewardship is. Stewardship means you show up prepared, but not rigid. Grounded but not closed, serious about purpose but not severe about yourself. It means you take responsibility without carrying blame. As you practice this, you will notice something changing in your daily life. Situations that once made you anxious will still carry weight but not threat. Conversations that once felt overwhelming will feel manageable. Not because you are stronger, but because you are less afraid of being imperfect. This is maturity. Maturity is not emotional numbness. It is emotional regulation rooted in trust. It is the ability to stay present even when things don't go exactly as planned. Chosen one. Your nervous system is learning that you are safe in motion, safe in learning, safe in becoming. This learning does not happen all at once. It happens moment by moment, choice by choice. Each time you resist the urge to overreact. Each time you allow silence. Each time you forgive yourself quickly instead of punishing yourself slowly, these moments accumulate. And over time you will realize that the anxiety you once lived with has loosened its grip. Not because life got easier, but because you became steadier. You stopped interpreting every challenge as a verdict on your worth. You were never chosen to live on edge. You were chosen to walk in authority that flows from trust. Let this truth settle into your body. Now you are allowed to learn without fear. You are allowed to grow without shame. You are allowed to succeed without constant tension. And as you internalize this permission, your nervous system will follow your lead. It will begin to rest where it once resisted. And in that rest, clarity will rise. Success for you is not about eliminating risk. It is about embodying trust. And trust is something you are already learning to carry with grace, with patience, and with a steadiness that cannot be rushed. Chosen one, let this final truth rest gently but firmly within you. Everything you have been learning, feeling, and embodying has been guiding you toward one realization. Your life was never meant to be lived in reaction. It was meant to be lived in response. Reaction is born from fear. Response is born from authority. Authority does not arrive with noise. It arrives with calm. You may have spent years believing that success would feel loud when it finally came, that it would announce itself with urgency, intensity, and constant motion. But heaven's way is different. When alignment is complete, success arrives quietly, almost gently, because your system is finally ready to receive it. I want you to notice how different you feel now compared to when you first began listening. Your breathing is slower. Your thoughts are less crowded. That is not coincidence. That is your nervous system recognizing truth. Truth always brings order. There was a season when I believed that staying alert was the same as staying responsible. I thought if I relaxed, something would slip through the cracks. But over time I learned that constant vigilance does not create excellence. It creates exhaustion. Excellence is born from clarity, and clarity lives in calm. Chosen. One calm is not the absence of ambition. It is ambition rooted in trust. When you move through life without bracing for impact, you begin to see opportunities instead of threats. Conversations become collaborative instead of confrontational. Decisions become deliberate instead of rushed. And your body begins to support your vision instead of resisting it. This is what it means to be chosen for success. Not that your path will be free of challenge, but that you are equipped to navigate challenge without losing yourself. You were never meant to sacrifice your peace to prove your worth. Peace is not the reward at the end of the journey. It is the posture that carries you through it. There will still be moments when your heart beats faster, when uncertainty visits, when the weight of responsibility feels heavy. But now you know how to meet those moments. You do not panic them, you do not dramatize them, you acknowledge them, and you stay. Staying is powerful. When you stay present instead of retreating inward, you allow wisdom to surface. When you stay grounded instead of escaping into worry, you allow solutions to emerge. This is the supernatural exchange that takes place when trust replaces fear. I have watched doors open, not because I forced them, but because I was finally still enough to recognize when they were already unlocked. I have seen relationships deepen, not because I tried harder, but because I stopped defending myself against imagined outcomes. I have experienced success, not as a rush, but as a steady unfolding. Chosen one. This is the rhythm you are stepping into now. Your nervous system no longer needs to sound alarms to get your attention. You are listening, you are responding, you are aligned. And alignment creates momentum that does not burn you out. There is a sacred simplicity to this way of living. You prepare, but you do not obsess. You care, but you do not cling. You lead, but you do not control. And in this balance, your life begins to flow. This flow is not passive, it is intentional. It is you choosing again and again to trust the process that has been shaping you all along. You may look back now and recognize that the seasons of anxiety were not punishment. They were signals that you were outgrowing old patterns, signals that your capacity was expanding faster than your habits, signals that it was time to recalibrate. And now recalibration is happening. Your body is learning that it can rest while you rise. Your mind is learning that it does not need to race to be effective. Your spirit is remembering that it is guided. Chosen one, you are not late. You are not behind. You are right on time for the version of yourself that can hold what is coming without fear. Let this truth anchor you as you move forward. Success does not require you to abandon yourself. It requires you to inhabit yourself fully, to show up present, grounded, and open, to allow life to meet you where you are instead of constantly chasing what you think you should be. As you carry this understanding into your days, notice how your responses change. Notice how your body follows your lead. Notice how moments that once felt overwhelming now feel navigable. This is evidence of alignment. You were never chosen to be nervous. You were chosen to be steady. You were chosen to be clear. You were chosen to be successful in a way that does not cost you your peace. And as you continue walking this path, let calm be your companion. Let trust be your foundation. Let clarity be your guide, because the success you are stepping into is not something you must fight for. It is something you are finally ready to receive. Chosen one. As this message comes to rest within you, know this in your spirit: nothing you have received today was random. Heaven has been recalibrating you in real time. The weight that once made you tremble is now becoming the ground beneath your feet. And the calm you feel rising is not emptiness, it is authority taking its rightful place. You are not leaving this moment the same. A supernatural alignment has already begun, and you are standing in your exact kairos season, the appointed time when preparation meets promise. What once unsettled you will no longer have power over you. What once demanded fear will now respond to your presence. This is the transfer from tension to trust, from reaction to dominion, from survival to stewardship. I bless you now, chosen one, with clarity where there was confusion, peace where there was pressure, and confidence where there was hesitation. May your steps be ordered, your decisions be steady, and your spirit remain anchored as doors begin to open in ways you did not force. Stay faithful, stay aligned. Walk forward with gratitude, knowing that what is forming in the unseen is already moving toward you. If your spirit bears witness to this word, seal it with action. Subscribe as a sign of alignment and comment your city below. Let heaven mark where this anointing has landed. Go in peace, chosen one. What you are stepping into now is backed by heaven, and it will unfold with grace.